experience in UiPath is 3 years. So, over the past 9 days, we have covered a lot of exciting and valuable content. And today, we are going to dive into key topic that will help evaluate your automation skills even further, which is UiPath apps with Action Center, integration magic, and Gen AI brilliance. This session will help you understand how to create UiPath apps that are user friendly and interactive. Thank you once again for being a part of this series, and we are excited to have you here for the final day. This session, we have two amazing speakers, Harika and Chandrika. Together, they are here to ensure you have an insightful and enriching experience today. Let's give them a warm welcome and get ready for an incredible session with Harika and Chandrika. Over to you, Harika.
Yeah. Thank you, Vidya, for a warm welcome. Let me share my screen before I get into the content. I'll just quick a brief intro about myself. I hope you all can see the screen. Can you just confirm? Is it
Yeah.
visible? Yes, okay. So, hi everyone, thanks for joining us today over here. I know the series has been so great, and 10 days would be overwhelming as well, as we are seeing a lot of content and learning a lot of different topics together, right? So, I just wanted to give a quick, brief intro about myself and a little bit about the topic that we are going to see over today. I'm Harika. I'm working as a hyper automation consultant in a bank, Dubai, and I am the MVP for apps for the year 2024. And besides my professional experience, I have overall like close to 9 years of experience. And apart from that, I have a YouTube channel which I do post videos on my channel very passionately about all the new releases of UiPath and what are the tech advancements that we have, what is the future in the tech industry. So basically now we all know there's always a buzz about AI agents, right? So you can see, go over and learn a lot of things on my channel. There's videos on chat gpt, there are videos on AI agents, there are videos on UiPath, a lot of videos on UiPath also. So even if you're a core developer or if you wanted to be someone into hyper automation, there's always some or other stuff that you can learn on my channel, and you can always reach out to me on LinkedIn if you have any questions. So apart from that, I also delivered trainings. So I have done a lot of events for college students. I have delivered sessions for the organizations. I train people on UiPath. Apart from what I actually do as my core professional experiences. So these are some things about myself. A brief and quick intro. And at any point of time, if you wanted to connect with me or talk to me, or if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me on my LinkedIn. So with that, I wanted to get into today's session. So it's all about UiPath apps. So you all know, basically UiPath apps is a low code and no code platform that leverage anyone, a citizen developer even, to develop the apps without any, knowledge or prerequisite to have any great experience on HTML or CSS, right? So with that, anyone can actually start and develop apps by themselves. So I wanted to give a quick introduction on UiPath apps, being this is a zero to hero series. Even though our, the content that we are going to cover today has been the advanced topics like talking about generative AI, integration services, and action center. So today I'm going to cover most of it, which are the advanced topics. But however, I don't wanted to make people feel like if they are new to apps, I don't wanted to make them feel left out. So I'll just give you a quick brief introduction about apps. What is an app studio, how you can develop apps, what are the different controls and the properties that you have on apps, and especially the life cycle, right? So whenever you wanted to talk about any product, you definitely wanted to know how you started from, where you started from basically, and then how you drive it and how you deploy the end product of it, right? So I will talk a little bit about life cycle, because these are the touch points that we wanted to go through and give you a good clarity on where you can start it from and how you do it and how you can deploy it, basically the whole life cycle of the apps. And later I'll give you a quick introduction about the autopilot on apps. Along with that, I'll try to deliver a small demo how we can create an app using autopilot, because autopilot has been there since an year, I guess. So I see a lot of people who are using it, developing apps in minutes and seconds, right? So on top of it, you can customize it. So I'll show that feature to all of you with a small demo as well. And later, Chandrika will help you understand how you can use apps with Action Center, right? So for everything, if there's a human touch, then definitely that make you feel like it's validated, right? So we are not eliminating the humans over here, but we are making the product better with the human touch within it. So Chandrika will give you a very good brief, and she will drive you through the demo on how you can use apps with Action Center. And later, I will talk about integration services in apps. So basically, we all know whenever we are working with apps, there is one small defect we always face. I don't call it defect, maybe the improvement that we have to look at it at. With respect to not having an integration or an API calls within the app itself. So this integration services in the apps will leverage the app's performance to another level by having it together within the app and having the connectors within the apps. So yeah, I'll talk about all of this, and then we end the session with the Mentimeter quiz. So there are a lot of things awaiting for you. So in order to get the goodies and the prizes, whatever, so you have to stay tuned throughout the session, and there's a quiz that happens at the end of the session for all of you. Whoever do the right answer, you will be surprised with some goodies from the team. So these are the things that we are going to cover today. So let me just take you through the app studio itself directly, and I'll showcase you how the interface looks like and how you can actually use it. So this is the interface. So whenever you're trying to build an app, you would be directing to the app studio. That's in where you can actually build the app. So if you see over here on the platform, you have something called as build and run, right? So the build is the place where you actually develop the apps, something like your UiPath studio, right? We have an interface called app studio. That's in where you build the apps. And there's also something called as run. That means, consider a scenario. You have built an app, you have deployed it, right? So you want a business user to pick the app from there and run. So this is a one dashboard or one place where you can actually give access to the users. So you don't have to give URLs to the users or anything as such. You just give access to the user, or you just direct the user to this place. Whoever have the access to that particular app can see the access of the apps over here. So all they have to do is just click on that particular app, and then they can run it. Where they can actually go towards it, and then they can play around the app, and they can perform something on the app that is actually needed from their side. So this is the interface that we have, which differentiates app studios from running the app. So basically utilizing the app, we can call it. So if I just help you with creating an app by itself, I'll just create one dummy app in order to just showcase you how the app studio would look like, what are the different things that we actually look into while developing an app. So let me call it as a demo app series, and then I just create it. So as soon as I land into this page, it will give me some references. Let me just show you that. Okay, let me refresh it. So whenever we talk about the apps, we have to consider some things in mind. So let's say, just imagine a perspective, right? So I'll just select a blank page. Okay. So just imagine a perspective. Whenever you are interacting with the app, there is something that happens in the front end. That means you interacting with the app. And as soon as you interact with the app, some things happens in the backend which projects an output to you. That's what you have to think about whenever you're in the shoes of an app developer, right? So in the same way, whenever you wanted to create an app, so let's consider today I'm going to create an app which takes the information from, let's consider a scenario. You're all attending the session today, and I wanted to fetch the feedback from you. I wanted to know how you all feel about the session. So I'll just create a small app considering that, right? So in that case, just imagine your app should not be only something that talks about the user interaction, but also user experience. So how these both are different. User interaction means the friendliness in how the user can interact. That means how easily the user can put in the information and submit the details. And the second one is user experience. That means whenever the user look at the UI or on the application, he should not feel weird, like, something is somewhere else and something is somewhere else. It should not be like, let's say you create an app with the page with some fields on the first page and the submit button is in the next page. Even though user can interact with that, but the experience is not good. So whenever you're in the shoes of an app developer, you have to consider both of them. User interaction and user experience should be at a good level. The user should feel friendly while using the app, right? So both of them should be considered. So with that point, I wanted to mention something over here, which is when the user interaction comes into picture, the user wants to add some details, right? So let's consider user want to input his name, right? So we wanted to give something called as text box. So let me just put in, there's something called as text box. So I would provide the particular field or a particular control. So we call it as a control, so which will help the user to input some data over here, right? And also, if you see, when we talk about the controls, there are different categories of the control. So the first one is input. That means which takes the interest from the user, like it can be with a button, or it can be with a checkbox, or it can be with a text box, right? Basically, which interacts with the user, which takes the information from the user in order to enter something over there, correct? So that all those categories forms under the input control. And later comes the display. So if I just talk about the display, just imagine with the scenario that I have provided you, what can be an display control. Just think about it. Let's say I have landed on an app, right? So what can be an display control that shows that what this app is all about, correct? So let's consider a header. The header would be something like a display which tells what this app is all about. So if I just put it over here, so collect feedback on UiPath apps session, right? So this is a display. User doesn't have to do anything over here, but it's just a display which lets the user to know what this app is all about, correct? So this is a display thing. In the similar way, we have different other controls like a container. So basically the container control is used in order to adjust the layouts, in order to adjust the text boxes and all the different controls that you put in over there. Instead of just being scrambled across the app page, it will let the app give a proper structure. So that is what the container actually does. And later we have something called as icons. So basically, as I mentioned you, app is also not just about user interface, user interaction, but it also user experience, right? So with the proper icons and everything, you ensure that there's a good user experience, right? So these are the different controls that we have on the apps. And later, I would also want to talk about events. So as soon as the user enters that information, right? So what you can do, we can add one button over here, right? The button, let's say it is a submit button. So as soon as the user clicks on this button, we wanted to submit this particular feedback. So on clicking this, we have a lot of events that can happen from the backend, right? So as I mentioned you, when you look at the app, there are two things. One is front end and the other one is the backend. So whatever that happens on the front end is something that is interacting with the user. Whatever happens in the backend is something that is maybe an API call, maybe adding an item into certain bucket or queue, right? So that will help the user to go to the next step. That means, let's say I wanted to register to a particular event, correct? So I will provide all my information and click on submit. So what happens in the backend? It calls an API, and then it will add my all the details into the queue, saying that I got registered, and then it pops me up a message, a successful message saying that your spot has been booked, or you have booked or register you have registered your slot, right? So similarly, that whatever happens in the backend is something that we can perform using the events. As soon as the user clicks on the button, what needs to be done, right? That you can perform using the events. There are a lot of events, so I don't wanted to go into all of them one by one now. If you wanted to learn a lot about it, and if you want to become a pro at it, there's already a lot of videos and the playlist up on my channel. So I'll provide the link of my channel in the chat section. You can go through and you can learn, but I wanted to give a good overview about what are the different controls that we have, events that we have, how the user experience and the user interface actually matters when we are building an app, and what happens in the front end as well as in the back end that ensures that we are tying up the user interaction with the details that are happening in the back end. So I hope this is clear till this part. So once after you can build the app, there is something we can look at it is as the next step, being the deploying of the app, right? So as soon as you create an app, the next step goes is publishing an app. So you can see over here, you can see something called as publishing, correct? So as soon as you publish the app, I think there is some issue with the environment for me today. Let me stop it. Okay, no problem. I will just show one of the app which is already published. But however, as soon as you click on the publish, that the particular version of the app, similar, you can just relate it to your studio basically. As soon as you click on the publish, it will let you, create a package. It contains all these events and the controls that you have actually created in the first place, right? So it will let you do that. Hmm. Okay, no problem. I will just go through the published package that I already have. So it will let you actually publish your app. So with all the versions and everything that you have in place already. So what you can do from there is similar to how you utilize your process packages. So we all know as soon as you publish a particular package from your studio, it will create a particular version of it, right? We all see that a particular version of that particular process will be linked, and you can see that particular version in your orchestrator, right? Similar to that, we have something called as app versions. So I'd like to show the app versions to you if there is some chance. Mm, it says it's down for me.
Do you want to share my screen, Harika?
Yeah, yeah, please.
Just a minute, I'll share.
Sure. Okay, meanwhile, yeah, you can just share. Okay, yeah, just go to the tenant. Yes. So here, click on the app versions. Yes. So here we can see whatever the version that you have. So over there, the version of the app is mentioned, right? So you can actually see what all the versions that you have deployed the app from, and everything is actually binded. So can you click on the last last icon over here? Yeah, yeah. View versions. So as you see here, similar to our packages that we deploy from the studio, similarly we can see what are the different versions that are available for this app at any point of time. If there is any change, right, into your app version, if you wanted to go back to the previous version, you can always do that over here. Similarly how we actually do it for our packages with the studio ones, right? So you can reactivate the previous version as well. Can you click on the three dots and try to activate? Yeah. Oh, no, click on the tick mark, checkbox. Can you on the left side? Yeah, yeah. So you can delete it. You can, okay. I think you can first inactivate and then do that.
Yeah.
No. Uncheck the whole thing.
Okay.
Yeah. Try to do it now towards the right side. No. I don't think I can take the control. But yes, however, you can do that from over here. I wanted to show you one more thing. Can you go to the location of the shared folder or where you have this app? Yes, shared. Yeah. Can you go to the automations and apps? Exactly. So over here, you can see the version. Can you click on that second one? Yeah. And edit app details. Yes. So here you can see the different versions. So from here you can actually at any point of time you can change the version of the app that you are actually using, right? So the version controlling is easily possible in the apps, just like how we are at any point of time. Let's say your latest version got crashed, or if your latest version is not applicable for any point of time, or if your business user wants to go back to the previous version, if there's any bug or issue with the latest version or the build that you have deployed, there is always a way. You can actually go and edit the version in the app from over here. Okay, so this is how you can do the version controlling. So here we have seen how what are the basic things, like we have the controls, events, and how you can build the app from the app studio, and how you can deploy the app and publish the app and deploy the app, and how you can do the version controlling in the app in a such a smooth and the minimalistic way, right? So these are the proper things that you can do it. So now I wanted to go ahead with the autopilot feature. I would like to showcase you how you can use autopilot, and where it can actually comes into smooth and easy development purpose. So can you go to the autopilot, Chandrika? Okay, so now I have created a feedback form, right? So let's consider I wanted to just utilize this feedback form and I wanted to create it, but I don't want to create it right from the scratch. Okay, so I will give a prompt which will help me create an app, right, with just a prompt that I have given. So I would like to give a prompt something like this: create an app with the fields, or with the fields of let's say name, email ID as the text fields, and let's say a control that captures feedback or rating, captures rating, a control that captures rating on a scale of 1 to 5,
Captures.
rating on a scale of 1 to 5. And let's say a control that a control that captures the likelihood of suggesting the session for your friends or anyone on a scale of 1 to 10.
And control the captures.
Suggesting the session for your friends on a scale of 1 to 10. Okay. Okay, so this one, and also okay, so put a dot and then just type in something like, on submission add these values to the data service. I think you're writing in between. You have to go to the end.
Oh,
Yeah.
just a minute.
And to control that captures. That captures. So, okay. Okay. Okay.
Last
So
sentence,
at
what
the,
you said?
yeah, at the end, what you can write is,
Hmm.
on submission,
Okay.
enter these values or store these values in the data service entity. So for any one of you who don't know data service is just like a cloud database, which is basically much quick and interactive with the apps whenever you're using. Yeah, data service entity. Yeah, send it. So now what I have done is I'm just asking Autopilot to create me an app. So you can see it is creating the layout, it is initializing the app, and it is actually creating something for me with all the fields that I've asked, right? I'm asking to create something that captures all this basic information whenever could not generate entity for this app. No problem, but ideally it has to generate the entity. That's how the expectation is. Let me just see if I can run it from my side if my environment is up, because I've already done something of this sort. No, it's still down for me. Cool, no worries. So what I wanted to showcase over here is basically, if you see the app that it is shown on the screen, it has name, email ID, and basically we've just asked only for 4 to 5 fields, right? But it has just created it with just a prompt and within minutes. Correct? We have not done anything. Let's say if you wanted to create something like this, Chandrika, can you click on the feedback form page on the left side? Yeah. So if you see over here, even though it's a simple app, click on the container. There's a lot of designing that has put in over here. It has a container. Inside the container, we have something like, yeah, click on the next
Mhm.
container. Yeah, next one. So if you see, it's a container. Inside it, we are using a lot of containers in order to frame and picture this app actually in a way that it is intuitive to the user, correct? Similarly, the back end of it. So can you click on the submit button? So I think right now it has not created because it has not created the entity. Click on the events and the rule. Yeah, click create rule. So ideally what happens if it has created the entity as well, it should be tagging all the details that the user has entered into the entity. So what happens is all the user binding, right, the data binding actually happens whenever the user enters some of the fields. It will be binded and added into our entity automatically, right? So that is a best way you can actually utilize the copilot to build the first layer of it, and on top of it you can add whatever the details that you want to add. That will actually help you to speed up your development tasks and also make you utilize that time in order to build something more creative, right? So that is how you can actually utilize autopilot in order to build the apps. The first level of the development will be done by the app, because if you see the whole structuring, and also there's one more feature. Can you go to the app studio once? Just click on App Studio. So if you see over here, there is an option called create entity. So as soon as we asked it to create an entity, it should be able to do it. But because of some intermediate issue, maybe that didn't happen. But however, you can also create the entity using the apps. And also, if you see here, through autopilot, you can create the entities whenever you're building that app. And also, if you see, there's an attachment option in the left hand side. So basically, if you see any organization, right, if they're building any app or something, they try to maintain a common structure or common template within the organization, right? So let's say there is a shopping site, okay, so the whole structure of the app remains common. So let's say you talk about Mintra, which is a famous shopping platform, right? So the Mintra, whenever they wanted to build a new apps for that particular company, they try to keep the common logos or the structures in a similar way, right? They don't keep changing because people will consider that as a different product. In order to maintain, in order to have that symmetry, the main logo or the framework basically remains constant, right? So in order to build a framework every single time that you create an app, do you think it's a rework? Definitely yes, right? So in order to ensure that you don't do the repetitive tasks again and again, right, it be building a studio project or building a app project, it definitely takes a lot of effort and you're not doing anything productive or efficient over there. So just give that to your autopilot. The autopilot will use the template that you have, it uses the PDF that you have, and it will create a similar app. So if you see it over here, drop a PDF or image or describe the app you would like to create. So you can say that whatever the template that your organization usually follows in order to create an app, you can keep that particular template in a PDF format, or you can use it as a PDF format or a particular image format, PNG format. You can upload that particular app over there, and you can say create an app for registration with the same logos or the same template. So you eliminate that rework which you have done already, right? All you have to do is starting it from where you have left, right? You don't have to redo every single time you're developing like 10 apps or 20 apps. All that time can be utilized in order to customize the app that you wanted to build, right? That's a great feature of autopilot. You can utilize that feature in order to build more intuitive apps basically. So that's how you can use. You can also create entity. I strongly wanted to showcase some app that using the prompt by creating the entity, but unfortunately the environment is down and it's not working with some issues today. But however, I think that you have got the whole idea of how you can utilize the autopilot in order to build the apps with the frameworks that you already have by exporting the PDF, and also by creating some entities. You can create the entities just by giving the prompt to your autopilot. So that's all about autopilot that I wanted to showcase you today. And Chandrika will help you understand how you can utilize Action Center on the apps, and then later I'll talk about the integration services. Yeah, over to you, Chandrika.
Yeah. Um, just a minute. Thank you, Harika, for the beautiful info about the apps and autopilot. So, continuation to that, today I'll be telling you about apps to Action Center. So, before going to the topic, I just want to introduce myself. I'm Sai Chandrika Kopparapu, working as a senior RPA developer in XT Global Private Limited, and I have around 6 years of experience into RPA. I worked in both Automation Anywhere and UiPath. Currently, I'm working in UiPath itself, and I'm an advanced certified developer. This is pretty much about me. Going into the topic, as I said, today I want to talk about apps to Action Center or Action app. Before talking about Action Center, app to Action Center, I just want you people to know about the Action Center. If you have attended the yesterday's session, you would have definitely I mean, Barnali would have definitely said about human in the loop. There are situations where human in the loop must be needed. So in that situation, suppose when we talk about yesterday's session, it's about document understanding, right? While we are extracting the data, and if the confidence score doesn't met the threshold, then we need to send the particular PDF or whatever you are dealing with. The document need to be sent for review. So how can we send that to review? That is the point where Action Center comes into picture. So first of all, I'll show you the Action Center, how it looks, and where it will be. Um, you have gone through the orchestrator, right? There you can see this Actions tab. Once you click on that, you'll be landed into this page. First, I want to give the overview about this Action Center. You can see here, right, action catalog, creation time. This catalog comes, I mean, you can create catalogs and you can categorize your documents. Like whenever you send the documents to Action Center, even that can be categorized into catalogs. You can create your own catalogs here, and that will be selected in the studio code, which catalog need to be which document need to be sent to which catalog. And if you see here, it is giving an overview of all the pending actions, completed actions, unassigned actions, and average completion time. So whenever we send a document or app to the Action Center, um, it completely depends on the code. If in the studio you mention a particular email ID, it will be directly assigned to that particular person. But if you are not mentioning any email ID, it will be in an unassigned state, and that need to be assigned for self. I'll show you that as well. And here, um, as you have seen, like it is showing the overview of pending, completed, and unassigned. So even here, it is showing the critical, high, medium, and low. Whatever the priority is there, even that will be shown here. Four actions has been completed, and those are in medium priority. It's just like an analytics, data analytics. It is showing entire overview in the dashboard. And coming to inbox tab, as I mentioned you, like once the we sent a document to Action Center, it will come to unassigned state, and here we'll get an option to assign to self. So then it will be going to the pending state. Once you approve or reject or whatever the condition based upon the document, if you click on that, then it will be the action will be completed. You can see like four of the actions has been completed in my Action Center. Okay. This is pretty much about Action Center. And coming to the code part, while I'm going ahead, I'll be talking about tabs to Action Center, right? I'll be guiding you like which activities need to be used to send the document or app to the Action Center. Okay. So I think you are pretty much clear about the Action Center. Without delay, today start. I'll not give a demo, but I have already created an app. I'll uh, get you people through that. Okay. Just now, Harika has talked about autopilot, right? For suppose I have already created this demo lead application. Okay. I have sorry, excuse me. I have taken each text box, dragged, and I have created this app. But I'll show you a way. If you are able to create it along with me, you can do this. I'm just giving a prompt like I create a app to apply leave request. Okay, I'm just giving that prompt and I clicked on send. Let's see how the app will get. If you have any specifications, like you want particular fields, you can even mention those on the prompt. Okay, it is unable to generate entity, but still you can see here, right? It has created employee name, employee ID, leave start date, leave end date, leave type, reason for leave, contact number, and email address. See how fast it has created. The same app I have created it manually. I'll just show you. Just give me a minute. See, this is the one I have created manually, and this is the one which is generated by the autopilot. There is no much difference between those. So I just want to show you, like, now we need to make changes, like for each and every field we need to add a variables, we need to create a variable, and we need to see, first thing, this app will be given to an employee. Suppose employee want to request a leave. Okay, so he need to fill all his details and submit the leave request. So when he fills those data, we need to collect that data, right? For that purpose we need to use add queue. We have a controls, right? If you observe, we have so many controls we can add it, like action, queue, storage bucket, entity, which was just now Harika has spoken about that, and connection as well, integration services. The next thing Harika is going to talk about that. So if you add a queue, we need to create a queue in the orchestrator itself. um, I'll just show you that as well. Okay, see, I have created this leave approval um, queue. In this, usually while we are dealing with the apps, we need to upload a schema, which is a default one. We need to change the data and variable names inside the schema. I'll just show you the schema as well. Okay. This is the schema which I have uploaded into the queue. Can you see these all the fields which I have, variables which I have created in the app? Employee name, leave type, employee ID, start date, end date, contact number, leave reason, and email ID. So this is a default schema. Like whatever the field variables you are creating in app, that need to be changed here, and you need to upload that schema while you are creating a queue here. After creating queue, now we'll go to the app now. So this is what I have said, right? I have used a control called queue, and it will ask for the tenant in our tenant, which queue you want to add it. Suppose I'll go. I have my shade tenant leave approval. I have already added. So I'll just uh, for uh, for you people, to let you know people, I'm adding this. I have one more queue called general ledger. Suppose if I click on add, we don't have schema that for that, but for how to add the queue, I'm saying this thing, like this. You need to add a queue, and here Once the user submits the data, I mean user inputs the data, we need to store that in a variable and send it to queue, right? For that purpose, suppose this is a text box, right? We need to go to events, edit tool, and set a value. Like I have created this employee name, okay, and I'm passing a value of this into this variable. Text one is where the user is going to enter the data, right? In the text one, we'll have that value. That value we are assigning into a employee name variable. So for all of the fields, I'm doing the same thing. I'm assigning all the values which the user gives. I'm assigning those to a variable. Finally, when I'm submitting this, I mean, when the user submitting this, I want to add the entire data into the queue. So here I have created an action condition called if else. Why I have created if else is I just want to make it as a required field. So I have mandatory field. So I created this. We have many other ways also to create that. So here we have an action called add to queue, input override. So we'll be mapping all, already we have added the queue, right? In that queue, whatever we have given in the schema, those will be appeared here. See, queue. I have created an empty queue, but you can think how we got this. As we have uploaded the schema, we got all these variable names. So whenever in the submit button, after submitting, we want to add those to queue, right? So we just need to map whatever the variables we have created in the app and whatever the variables we have given in the schema. If we map this, then all the values will be added to the queue. Okay. I think you are very clear about this, right? So I'll go to the next part, which is now we got a data from the employee, like he's requesting for an approval. So he's requesting for a leave. Now we want to send this to the manager. Okay, manager need to approve or reject whatever he does. He need to do that. So what we are doing is we can create a approve reject button in the same app itself, but what I'm doing is I have exported the same app. Okay, we have options to export and import. Suppose this is a demo leave application, right? I just clicked here and just exported. So a package will be downloaded to our local system. See, you can see, right? Demo leave application dot UI app. This is the extension. When we export an app, it will be creating like that. So, and now go to create new app and give something like demo. Okay. Now, whatever the file I have exported, if I just import it here, then we'll be able to create the same app again. I'm just changing the name. Okay. See, within a seconds, I have created the same app. Now, this app is just to go to the manager, like for the approval. So I'm just sending this app to the action center. So no need of adding data to the queue. I'll just remove queue. I'll show that as well. What changes I have made, I'll show you. Okay. Now, so I have removed the queue. Whatever I have added here, I have removed that. And if you remember, I have created rules in each event, right? To store the data into the variables. So that I have been disabled because no need of storing, getting the data and storing into the queue. What extra I have added to this app is a action. I want to send this app to the action center. So if you can see like here in the control, you can add action, right? Once you click on that, this will be appeared. And action schema, what should be the outcomes of the action, means whenever you send this app, what output you are expecting. So if you see like here, I have given two buttons, approve or reject. Only these two outcomes I'm expecting. Either manager need to approve or reject. That is why in the action schema, I have created two outcomes, which is reject and approved. Okay. And these are the input properties which I am giving to the app by default. I want to give whatever we got the data, right? I just want to give that to the action center by default. So I have created input properties to the action in the action schema. Okay. And going to this main page, going to the approve button, I'm expecting the whatever, I mean, whenever a manager clicks on approve, the output will be approved. So we need to select which one needs to be get when he click on approve. So I have selected approved, and when he click on reject, I'll I'll get as reject. This is the only change I have made for that app and this app. So that app is I'm getting the request from the details from the employee, and after that I'm just sending same app to the manager, either to approve or reject by giving all the details which we got from the employee, to just let manager know like what all the details he have mentioned, which employee has asking for the approval, sorry, request. So now what I'll do is I'll just run these apps and I'll show you. Okay. So this is the first app. Think suppose I'm an employee, I'm accessing this app, and I'm entering the details. I'm requesting for a leave. Okay. My name is Chandrika, and I'm giving some ID. I want leave from 11 23 2024 till 11 um, suppose 28. Okay. 11/28. Oh, sorry, this is a leave type, right? So here I'm applying for a sick leave, and here I want till 28, and I'm giving some my contact number, and reason is I got a fever. Okay. And I'm providing my email ID. Okay. Now if I submit, see, a leave request successfully submitted. Now what I said, after submission, whatever the data we entered here, that need to be gone to queues, right? So I'll just show you here. See, you can see 1 minute ago. So view transactions. See, you can see one new transaction has been added. I'll just show you the details as well. See, Sai Chandrika, sick leave, whatever I have given right now, that has been added to the queue. So currently I'm using a community version, so I don't have any production license. If I have a enterprise license or production license, I'll make a queue trigger. If queue trigger, and before saying that, the next task is we need to send the second app, which is this one. The second app need to be sent to manager, right? So to do that, we need to do a code part, so that we can send that to action center, and manager can approve or reject that. Sometimes we can according to the requirement, the same app can be sent to manager. So here in this use case, I just want to create two apps. One is for request, and the other is for approval. So the first one you have seen, like I have given the data and that has been added to queue. Now the second one is the details which has been entered by employee need to be sent to action center, which is mean we need to send to manager. For that purpose we need to write a code. First, here what I'm doing is I'm getting the data from the queue. Okay, get transaction item, and from there I'm assigning it in each variable whatever the data we have it. And here is the main part. So this is the main activity which will create a task in the action center. So as I said, right, just before, um, suppose if we are dealing with the document understanding, and there we need to send some document to action center, will not have same activity there and here. As we are dealing with app, we are using create app task. Suppose if we are doing this in a document understanding, if you want to send a document to the um, action center, there it will have a create validation, create document data validation action, and wait for validation will all there. Wait for document data validation action and resume. It will be different. Like here we are using the app, right? So here we are using a create app task. Okay. After using this, by default we'll be publishing it, right? The app which we'll be creating, that will be published in the orchestrator. By default automatically it will show which app name and which version is also there here. And if you remember, like I have said, we need a few inputs, right? For this in the action schema, this input properties we had created, right? That is why when it when it chooses this application, by default whatever the input properties we have created in the action schema, that will be populated here. I'm just passing the data which I have got it from the queue. I'm just passing those variables here, and I have created, here we need to create a variable called task. Okay, my task. And here is what, wait for app task and resume. What this does is we have sent a application to the action center. So um, manager may not be immediately responding to that, right? Till he responds, this action will be waiting. Like whatever it, after the manager either he approve or reject, only the next actions will be performed. For that purpose, it will be waiting for the task to be resumed. Okay. Once we create this task, the bot will be resumed, and once we submit there, the bot will be again resumed. Okay. Then I have kept and send Outlook mail message. If it is approved, then I'll be sending an email as approved. Whatever the output I'm getting, my task dot action is the output of the action center. So I'm just mentioning that if it is approved, we'll get an approved. If it is rejected, if it will we'll get an reject. I'll just run this. Before running this, previously I'm saying, right, I'm using a community version. I don't have a production license. If you have a production license, then you can have a queue trigger. Whenever the employee submits the data will be added to queue, right? Whenever the queue data is added into the queue, if you enable a queue trigger, automatically this job will be running, so that no need of anyone in the loop, like you, it will be an unattended automation. As of now I'm doing an attended automation. Okay. I'll just debug it. So see, create app task has been completed, and after coming here, it is saying as execution has been suspended and is waiting for the external events to complete, which means now it has assigned the task to Action Center. Let's go to Action Center and see what's happening. Okay, so this is my inbox, right? I didn't mention any email ID there, so it will be just in an unassigned state. So you can see, right, without assigning to self, we can't perform any operations. So assign to self, and then so you can see whatever the data I have passed it here, everything has been populated. Now the manager reviews and he want to approve. I'm just clicking on approve. The action has been successfully completed. And I just want you people know, like here we are debugging, right? So it is asking for resume. When we are running in an attended mode, automatically it will be suspended and then it will automatically be resumed once the action is submitted in the Action Center. Okay. Let's see like if we have got an email.
Okay, so Chandrika, meanwhile, shall we go to the next step until we see if it is done, considering the time that we are running out of?
Mm, yeah, it has been completed. I just want to show them the output.
Okay. The
This is,
submission output, right?
yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Um, this is how like we'll be sending an app to Action Center, or if you want to send a document to Action Center, this is how we'll be doing it.
Okay, so thank you so much, Chandrika. That was really a wonderful demo. You have really driven us through step by step each and everything that needs to be covered for Action Center. So before I go ahead, I would like to take few questions because I see in the chat people were asking about some real time use cases, how it is possible and in what scenarios. So basically, if you see the use case which Chandrika has shown us today, so this is a very common app or the scenario that everyone encounters. Like let's say if you're an employee, you definitely apply leave someday, right? Or let's say you wanted to apply a leave or anything like work from home or anything as such, right? So this is a common use case that comes across in every organization. So basically, if you don't have any app or anything as such, you have to track it in an Excel, which will be very tedious. Someone can override it. There is no track of it, right? So this is a, I can say there can be a lot of business requirements also, but to just give you where it can be in real time, this is a wonderful example to showcase that, I believe, right? And I think many of the questions are already answered. Like I can see a lot of interest from attendees as well. Shiv, Pooj, and Kumar have almost answered a lot of questions. Thank you so much for that. But yes, if there are any unanswered questions, I would like to mention. So yeah, I was just thinking about to showcase the entity one as well. Let me share my screen quickly because there's a question in the audience that do we need to specify the entity or it is inbuilt as well. So and also there's one more question on what is data service. So basically, as I told you, data service is something like a cloud database. So it just have fields like rows and columns which stores your data. So let's say if user has given some data on the app itself, it can actually store the data into the data service. So you can consider data service as a cloud database. So that's pretty much a small easy definition of understanding what data service is. Inside the database, how you have data tables. Similarly, inside the data service, you have data entities. Okay, so inside entities, you will have a lot of information that you can store into in the form of rows and columns. So yeah, I was just thinking to
Harika,
showcase the
just a
yes,
minute.
you
I
got
got
it.
that mail and it went into
I'll stop
spam.
sharing.
I'll
Yeah, yeah,
just show that, okay?
sure. Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry to interrupt
No
you.
problem.
I'll
That's
just
fine.
take a minute, that's it. Okay. So you can see it went into spam. Um, this is how I gave a name variable here. So I got hi Sai Chandrika, your request has been approved. So this is how it gonna work. If it is rejected also, we are going to whatever the reason they are doing it in the app, we'll be getting that as an output and we'll be keeping it here.
I really liked the response Chitti Robo. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you,
You
Harika.
can customize you can customize the messages that you wanted to send it, as you know that you can, as we are doing it from the studio itself, right? So yeah. Can we have the XAML file? We'll try. We'll try to share this XAML with you, Deepa. Share your mail ID. Chandrika would try to zip it and share, or we can put it in a zip GitHub wherever it's possible. If anyone wants the XAML file, you can put up your mail IDs. Chandrika will send that XAML to you. Okay, considering the time, we'll get go ahead with the next part. I just gave a try to showcase, creation of the entity as well, because it's the major area of interest, right? We don't wanted to create the tables and everything every single time that we create an app, right? So I'll just give one more try. If it works, it's good. Otherwise, we'll go to the next agenda of the next pointer in our agenda, which is integration services. Okay, so create an app that collects employee data and stores it in entity. Okay, so let's say now I don't have my entity created already. Okay, so with this prompt, I'm enabling that generate an entity to save the form data, correct? That means I want the prompt not just to create the app, but I also want it to create the entity. I'm reiterating for people who don't know what is data service. Data service is like a database, and inside the database, you have data tables. Similarly, you have something called as data entities that will store the information. Okay, so let me just try it. If it Sorry, I don't know what's happening with my service, so it's getting stuck all the time. But just now I tried, it worked for me. Okay, fine, no problem. But I hope the point is clear for you. I just wanted to portray that we can also create entities using the autopilot apps. Okay, now I wanted to get into the next thing, which is integration services in apps. Okay, so now what actually we wanted to show with respect to integration services on apps is, so let's say you are working on any project. Okay, so right now let's say Chandrika has created an app, and it has prompted a mail from the studio, right? Now, let's consider a scenario where I wanted to create an app which shows me the stock information, the real time stock information fetching from an API. Right. So, we all know APIs are the fastest way we can utilize in order to get the information from the application, right? So let's consider a scenario like this. So I wanted to prompt a particular stock value and I wanted to get the information, stock price of it, right? So how can I actually do that using integration services or using apps basically? So let's say if I'm having an app, I will build an app that takes the information from the user, and upon submission it will create a queue item which will run a process in the backend and gets the information over here. So we have a concept like that which is called trigger based automation or real time automation. But for that we need to have attended setup over here in our studio, right? But I don't want that. I don't want to run a process even though if it's a real time, right? I want it to done happen in unattended mode. I don't want to run a process. I and I also want to run it in an instant way. So let's say now what I'm doing over here is I'm entering the stock and I wanted to get the price of it. It says 222.4, right? Let's say I wanted to get the stock price of Tesla. It says me 339.64, and if you see over here, it will give me the accurate value that is there in the actual stock market, right? So let me just show you how I have done that is. So basically, what I'm doing behind this app is I'm doing an API automation. I'm running an API by passing the value into the symbol and I'm fetching the price of it. So if you see 222.4, which is an IBM price, which I just fetched, correct? 222.4, which is real time. It happened, it ran the API from the app itself and then it just gave me. Let's consider if I don't have integration services, this would have happened by running and by executing an studio process, right? Which I don't want because that invites a latency. In order to eliminate the latency, I am using the concept of integration services on the apps, right? So in order to just show you how I have done this, I'll quickly show because I think we are running out of the time. But there's an elaborated video on this on my channel. So I have provided the channel link in the description. In the chat. You can just go through and have a look on this particular video on my channel. Okay. But just to showcase you what I have done over here, I'll just take you through integration services on the platform. And I have created a connector over there which I have just utilized on my app. It's quite simple. It's not very complicated to understand this concept as well. All you have to know is just to have your connector in place and you should be able to do that. Okay. There's some serious issue on my cloud, but however I'll just show you the connector that I have. So if you see on the connections, if you just go, these are the different connectors that we actually have, right? So even if you go to the integration services, you can see all these connectors listed down over there. Similarly, I have built a connector. So what I have done is I just created an app connector, right? So this is my connector which I'm already using in my project. Okay. So this connector, what it actually does is, I'll just put it in a simple words for you. So this particular connector, if you see here, I'm having this particular API, right? So this connector gets the information from the app. That means it will ask for the symbol information. So what is the symbol information? Which is IBM, correct? Whatever the stock value you wanted to know about. So it will fetch the information from the app whichever the user enters in, and from that particular place it just queries the data. That means it fetches back the price information. So this is an API that processes between the app that we have built it, and it hits the server and it gets back the information of the price of the stock. So that is what my app builder actually does. So here I'm not showing you exactly each and every information about what my connector builder does, but if you wanted to go through the particular video on my channel, explains you everything in detail, you can just check it out. So here how I have configured is something that I wanted to focus on and show you. So if you see here, first I have got the connector which I have built it into my app studio, and once I have integrated it over here, upon clicking on the button, right? I have said you that on clicking on something you want to trigger an event, correct? So here as the user enters the stock value and clicks on a button, what's happening? I am triggering an event, right? So if you see here, the symbol is the value that the user has entered, and I'm providing an API key because definitely whenever I'm running, I need an API key in order to process that request. And the function, so if you see this particular thing, the function is this, right? So I'm providing to go and fetch the value of this function, right? This is the function it should call. Basically, it calls this function and it takes the value entered by the user in the app and it provides in the symbol. And what else we are doing over here? Once after we execute that function, it will provide you some value outside that I'm storing it in the price. So if you know the API automation, basically whenever we retrieve the value, so I'll just show you from here itself. So whenever I execute this particular API request or I do this API call, it gives me this whole value as an output. But my requirement is I don't want this whole value, I wanted to get only the price information. So the price information is over here. That means the value that it has retrieved me, I have to deserialize it. I wanted to fetch only the price out of the whole raw content that has been provided for me. So for that purpose, I am using this particular deserialization query. Okay, so this is not complicated. You don't need to perform this for all of the API calls. It depends on the structure that it actually gives you out. Okay, so you don't have to worry about it. So ideally I just wanted to show you how we also have the capability to deserialize within the app itself, right? So this is how it is done. It is configured. Basically it takes the symbol and utilizes the symbol value. It puts up in the API call and it calls the function with the API key, and whatever the output that we are getting, we are deserializing it and we are projecting in the price column, right? So this is how we are doing it. So if I just show you the values that we are fetching or real time, and it is keep on calling the API and fetching the values and showing over here. So this is how you can actually use integration services, which gives you the values instantly on the app itself without encouraging any latency. So you can avoid the latency, you can avoid calling the processes within the apps, and you can actually execute it with more ease. So this is how you can actually utilize integration services. I hope this is clear for all of you. If you have any questions or anything, you can put up in the chat as well. We will help you out in resolving them. Okay, I see a lot of mail IDs. All these people, I think all these people needs the XAML from you, Chandrika. Please send it over to them.
Sure, sure.
Yes. If you have any questions, guys, please do put it in the chat. We will go to the Mentimeter session. I see some questions as well. Um, do do we need to take up questions, or if we have time, or we'll go ahead with the Mentimeter?
Harika, we are running out of time. We'll go ahead with many.
Okay, sure. Yeah, let's go to the Mentimeter.
Vidya, should I share my screen?
Yes, yes.
Okay.
Um, Thank you, Harika and Chandrika, for delivering an insightful and engaging presentation. Before moving on to quiz, I'd encourage everyone to visit UiPath community page and UiPath Academy. Also, do subscribe Nikhilesh Satyavarp YouTube channel. You can find all the videos available over there. And don't forget to write your learnings on the session speakers in LinkedIn. And please do tag us. The next in-person meetup, which is on November 30, the link is mentioned in the chat. It's a great place to connect, share ideas, and get latest developments on UiPath. So now it's time for the quiz. We got some awesome goodies for the top two winners. Please do join the Mentimeter. Go to the website www.menti.com and do enter the code 2725239. I'm mentioning in the chat. 2725 2339. So the fastest you answer, the more points you score. I hope everyone is able to join menti.com. Code is mentioned in the chat. Chandrika, maybe we can start.
I see only few people, Vidya. So I'm just waiting if they are able to
Okay,
join or not. I just see only 17 people.
okay.
We have 46 in the call. So guys, hurry up, like open www.menti.com and enter the code 2725239. Otherwise, you can scan the QR code as well, which is you can be able to see on the screen, right? I'll just wait for 2 more minutes with you, then I'll start it. Okay.
Okay, okay, sure.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, guys, I just want to add one more point. I just kept my LinkedIn profile link as well as a YouTube links on the chat. You can connect with us, and also it will be great if you can share some feedback about the session. Let's say what you learned, or what if there are any insights that you have carried from the session. That will be a great motivation for all of us. Please write on the LinkedIn and tag us as well.
Yeah, don't forget to tag us. Shall I start or wait?
What is the number?
It's 20.
Guys, join. Are you facing any issue while joining the Menti? You have exciting prizes. I see 45 people are there in the participants. Are you facing any issue while joining? We'll just wait 1 more minute and then we start it. If anyone is facing issue, please do let us know in the chat. Okay, let's start, guys.
And the top two winners, please share your complete address detail rp@gmail.com. The email ID is mentioned in the chat.
I'm starting it. Okay.
Okay. So we have a surprise question. Who is Ria? Okay. We have 23 correct answers. So now we'll start the first question of this quiz. 36 players. First question: which feature is used to eliminate the latency while running app? Autopilot, HTML content, integration service, action center. We have got 14 correct answers. Harika, would you like to explain?
Yes, as we have just spoke about the integration services. So as I mentioned, like in order to eliminate the latency, like you don't have to call a process, right? You will just run the, you will do the submit button and you get the answer immediately. So I think most of you have got it right. The concept of integration services using in the apps, but but people who didn't get it right, even I think autopilot people were looking at it. Maybe it's correct, but not during running the app. Okay, so we are eliminating that latency by using the integration services only. Yeah.
Thank you, Harika. Next question. We'll look at the leaderboard. Sai Teja and Akhil are on the top two. Next question. If you deploy a latest version in apps, you cannot go back and use the previous version of it. Yes or no? 10 more seconds. All right, we got 27 correct answers.
Yes, as I mentioned you, the version control is possible in apps. We can still go back to the previous version and utilize it at any point of time.
Okay. Leaderboard top Sai Teja and Akhil Nukala on top two. Next question. What is not possible to create through a prompt using an autopilot in apps? Entity, fields, layout, and queues. Wow, everyone has voted. You've got 19 correct answers.
Perfect. I think this is a majority correct. So
Yeah.
with the autopilot in apps, we cannot create queues because the queues has to be created using schema, or you have to directly create it in the orchestrator and attach it, right? So the schema is something that you have to use, and I have provided the documentation for the schema also in the chat. You can go and check it out how you can use schema in order to create queues.
Okay, it's still Sai Teja and Akhil on top two. Guys, try to answer fast so that you can top the leaderboard. Next question. This is the fourth. Where can you find the versions of the apps published? Packages, processes, app versions, and feeds. Wow, everyone has voted. Got 29 correct answers.
Perfect. Yeah. We have seen that where we have seen it in the orchestrator, right? It's apps versions. Perfect.
Yes. Leaderboard. Chandrika. Still the same, Saiteja and Akhil. Fifth question. Which activity is used to send the app to Action Center? Create action task, create task, create app task, none of the above. Okay, we've got 18 correct answers. Create app task. On top, Saiteja and Akhil. Now, the last question of this quiz. What is the primary purpose of the Action Center in UiPath? 22 correct answers. And the winner is Sai Teja and Akhil. Sai Teja and Akhil, please do send your complete address details along with PIN code to nikhil.rpa@gmail.com. Congratulations, Sai Teja and Akhil. Do send your details without fail. Thank you, everyone. Thank you once again for being a part of this series.
Thank you guys for attending this series and all the sessions. And you made it a big hit.
Thanks everyone for joining the series and congratulations Aiteja and Nikhil. I have provided the documentations that you need for Q schema as well in the chat. You can take it up from there. And please do mention in the LinkedIn whatever you like about the session if there are any insights that you have learned from these sessions. So that will help every one of us who have attended. And if anyone wants to refer back, they can go to the recordings. As Vidya has mentioned, recordings are always there on the channel, Nikhil's channel, as well as on the community events page. So you can refer to them at any point of time. So thank you so much, everybody, for joining and making this event a very big success.